We all think we're never, ever going to get old. And then one day you go, oh. And not only are we older, but our parents are older as well. We're going to talk about moving elderly parents. Stay tuned. Oh, dearie me. You know, I have to say, I turned 50 last year. And you know, you feel like, and listen, don't get me wrong, I still think being in your 50s is still young, but something happens in your life where you look around and you go, oh, I'm not as young as I used to be. And unfortunately, both Mark and I don't have our dads. They passed away quite a long time ago, but we do have our mums, and they're pretty sprightly.
Yep.
But you do look at them and you think, gosh, they're getting older, and what are we going to do as they get older? And I have to say, Mark, I do deal with a lot of elderly vendors. I've got a lovely, lovely elderly vendor at the moment. I'm just about to sell a property for her that she's been in for 50 years. So today we're going to talk about the trials and tribulations that go along with moving elderly people, elderly parents. I think it's a massive topic, actually. I really do. I feel like we're like looking at it right down the right. We're staring at it right in the eye at the moment with our mums as well.
And like I went to a house the other day, they've owned it for 65 years.
Wow.
So some of these homes, people, 71 years for Victor Glass. A lot of these people have been in their houses such a long time.
Yeah.
They're actually sometimes second generation or even sometimes I've met third generation in the home living. And there's a lot of planning that has to go into it. There's a lot of memento occasions. I would just imagine that the emotions would be absolutely flying everywhere. So it's pretty crazy.
A girlfriend of mine gave me some really good advice, actually, because both of our mums are the same age. They're my mum's going to kill me for saying this, but 76. And as I said, they're both really sprightly. We're very, very fortunate.
My mum's 77, 78.
Oh,
I should know.
You're lucky your mum's not watching. I'm going to dob on you, though. But anyway, they're in their late 70s. And as I said, they're both really active and really fit, which is great. But my girlfriend said to me a few months ago when my mum had her very first health scare, she said, listen, a lot changes between 77 and 81. Lots changes. And so you do want to start to plan for that now. Because what I've found, even with my mum, is that they can't make a decision fast. It needs to be this slow transition. And it's a conversation that maybe needs to be had over a number of years. As I said, they can't seem to adapt as quickly as what they used to be able to, and everything makes them feel nervous. So, and
they
again,
they
worry a lot more. We're talking about our mums, guys. I know everyone,
Yeah.
everyone's situations are different.
I think every 10 years your balls shrink to half.
Well, that might be for you boys, but that's not the case for us girls.
No, but people become more conservative. Do you know what I mean? I think from 60 to 70, from 70 to 80, from 50 to 60, people do become more conservative. I don't know. Maybe you know more, or maybe you got more to lose. I don't know, but it's definitely when these oldies get into their 70s and 80s, they're different animals.
Yeah.
They're set in their ways. And we see this as real estate agents all the time. And there's people that actually make, which we're going to talk about, there's people that actually make that move seamlessly well. There's people that really struggle and actually don't plan financially, mentally, all those things, and really get themselves into a pickle. I know you were saying perpetual, was it trustees? The public trustees,
trustee and guardian.
Trustee and guardian, they don't plan wills, they don't plan money, they don't plan care, because this care can be $1 million bond to go into a retirement village.
Yeah.
And that $1 million is $1 million is $1 million, and most people don't have that $1 million. So I think today is about learning some of these, how to navigate through some of these things.
So, and also some of the situations that we've seen, the best and the worst. So I want to just talk about, at the moment, I've got a property actually that's coming on next week, beautiful house coming on in Wheeler Heights. And the vendor has been living there for over 50 years. Now, she's actually quite happy about her move. It's been planned. The kids have sat down and had a good discussion with her, and she's going to be moving up to the Gold Coast to be closer to her children.
So many people doing that.
So many people moving up north.
Heaps.
Yeah. It seems to be a great place to retire. The weather's warmer for them. Yeah. And it's still cheaper than it is, living here in Sydney. But she's very happy about the move. I met with her late last night. Mark, you've done something with this air, and I'm boiling in here.
Yeah.
What's he done here?
So
she's actually really, really happy about the move because it's been planned, and she's super, super excited about it, which is great. That is not always the case, though. That's not always the case. We've got a friend of ours, not mentioning any names, we've got a friend of ours, her dad didn't really plan for his future properly. And what she's finding is that it's become this enormous, probably burden is not the right word, but this massive responsibility that she just did not plan for. So, or he didn't plan for either.
So
planning absolutely seems to be the key here.
Do you know what? I think it's also human nature. Some people just don't plan. Like I think that there's your planners and there's your didn't plan nothing at all.
Yeah.
That get there. How do you change that person? You probably can't. Do you know what I mean? But it's left on the kids, and often there's the responsible one that gets left with the planning. So I guess today, if you are that person, start bloody planning.
Yeah, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, and I'm not talking about with our own mums, but and there are conversations that go on behind the scenes there. But and I particularly with my mum, I've already started saying, Mum, what are you gonna? My brother lives overseas, so it's kind of on us. And I'm like, what do you want to do for as you get older? The one thing that I find is that most elderly people don't want to go into any form of retirement living. It's expensive, and in their minds, they're still very young. They're like, I don't want to go and live with a whole lot of old people. That seems to be the hardest transition. Some people need the care.
Yeah.
Most people still want to remain independent.
Yeah.
But the more successful moves for elderly people that I witness, and again, we do witness it a lot in our career, are the ones where it has actually been planned, but it's taken some time. Initially it was a hard conversation, and then as they've gotten older, they realise that they want to be closer to their family. They realise that they still want their independence. Maybe they're going to go and live in a granny flat, which is what we see a lot of, Mark. We see a lot of the multi-generational living as well.
I like that. I think that biggest regret I have with my old man is I just didn't spend enough time with him. And I think when the oldies move into the house, there is something beautiful about that.
Yeah.
It must be hard for the oldies, and must be hard for the kids. But I do think there's a lot of beauty in that you can spend time, beautiful, the golden years with the oldies.
And I agree. I hear what you're saying, but a lot of people, the multi-generational living is phenomenal if you have a really, really good family unit.
Yeah.
If you're financial enough, if you've got a really great marriage, and as I said, if you've got a really, really good unit, a good relationship as well, because I think it can be hard on families.
They could be ball breakers.
Well, it could be hard, Mark, because here you are living together for 20 years as a married family. Let's just call it 20 years, and all of a sudden the mother/mother-in-law moves in, and that can be a really, really hard, that can be a really hard thing because everyone's set in their ways.
Yeah.
Everyone's set in their ways. I mean, I know, going over to my mum's place, she gets annoyed if, like we've washed our hands and then you drip water on the floor. You can only imagine living in that environment. I think you have to be extremely patient. But, you know, it's just adapting, isn't it? It really is adapting. So time and planning, guys, seems to be the absolute biggest thing. Having these conversations over, you know, a number of years about what you're going to do with elderly parents or in-laws as they get older. That seems to be the big one. And the financial side of it is enormous. Like my girlfriend, whose dad didn't really plan for his future for a variety of reasons. Not anyone's fault, but just life took him on different turns.
It's weird that what I find very unusual is that you can get on with life and actually not plan. And there is a proportion, and a good proportion of people out there that just ignore it. They don't want to speak about it.
Yeah.
It's taboo. It just doesn't get spoken about. And I think that's often fraught with danger. You know, there are people out there that do not have a will. And when they leave, it's left to the government. It goes to the public trustee, and the public trustee administers as they see fit. So I just think that's, you know, that's tough. That's tough. It leaves a big burden. A friend of mine used to say inheritance inheritance is the hardest money you're ever going to earn. So I think that sort of good quality planning is just not leaving the kids with trouble.
Luke, you've got some really great comments this morning. Your mother was amazing. My God, I need my glasses. With your grandmother. Her siblings made 1% of the effort that she did. Amazing mum. She did well. Nothing on her siblings. It was the best for everyone, and it all worked well. Yeah, look, planning. It is absolutely all about planning. You know, and for someone like me, I guess in my family unit, my mum, as I said, is great. She's nice. She's fit. She's mentally well. She's in her late 70s, but I do suspect from what I hear and what I see that things dramatically change over the next 5 years. I see that things have changed with her over the last 10 years, from what she was 10 years ago to where she is now. And absolutely, she's totally independent, without a doubt. She looks 10 years younger than she is. But you know, and my brother lives overseas, so it's just all about planning. I mean, we do have lots of conversations about what's going to happen and what she wants to do, because she can make decisions. You know, what does she want to do as she gets older? And she's adamant she does not want to go into a nursing home, and I can't blame her. So what does that plan look like for the future?
I do think there's anti-aging things that I see happen as a real estate agent, and I do think there's aging things that happen with people that get older. So I think sometimes, you know, that saying, environment loads the gun and nature pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
I do think that, and I'm not enemy of the retirement village, but I do see people going to a retirement village and wind up faster, getting older, and I do see people living, right, and I do see people living, like, doing some pretty sprightly stuff when they're in their 80s, and I'm like, wow, you're adding years to your life. That's sprightly. Hey, I helped an old lady across the road yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, had a good old chat with her. 92, lives in NARRAWEENA, and she was carrying 5 bags of woolies to the bus stop. But my point is, at that attitude, I reckon it is adding years to her life.
I have to say, I love my elderly clients. I absolutely love them. And I get lots and lots of elderly women that want me selling their property. And I'm very confident it's because I am a woman in real estate, and they love that security of knowing that they're dealing with a woman. As I said, I've got this lovely elderly vendor at the moment. She's in her 80s. I'm selling for her. Property's coming on next week. But, you know, I go over there. She can't use technology. That's fine. You know, she's literally 5 minutes away from the office. I pop over there. You know, she always wants to make me a cup of tea. She's just adorable. I love her. And I love having conversations with them as well.
I asked, when I was walking with this lady, I said, what's the secrets to 92?
Yeah, what did she say?
Happiness and family.
Happiness and family. I do love them. And elderly people always have such wise words, and it's always the really basic things, isn't it? It's never like, oh, a Chanel handbag, or, you know, make sure you have lots of holidays to exotic places. It's always that. I just want to quickly, Mark, touch on all the different varieties of...
Talk some more?
Yeah.
Yep.
I do. I just want to talk about the varieties of accommodations that are available for the elderly. We've got the over 55s living.
Yes.
I don't think there's enough of that style of accommodation, I'll be honest.
No stairs.
No, I just sold one up in Belrose a couple of months ago that was over 55s and it had 2 flights of stairs.
Bit weird.
No lift.
Bit weird.
But I reckon that over 55s living is unreal.
It's a corker.
And I don't think there's enough of it. I really
reckon
don't.
You're buying for 5 or 10% cheaper.
Yeah, you are. Well, your mum's in an over 55s.
Yeah.
Your mum's in an over 55s.
They're good. So basically, they're buildings, they're medium density buildings that are accessible for elderly people. Very good option. You know, instead of going to the retirement village, it's an excellent option.
Yeah, I like that one. And you know, what's nice about over 55s, guys, is that you know, the elderly still get to have their independence.
Or their buddies a similar age.
Yeah, and some of them have got built-in sort of, you know, not concierge, but like building managers and things like that.
Another thing I think is important, Lise, is sometimes even just staying where they are. Some of these older people, are so familiar with every step, with every wall, with every turn, where everything is, that often when they move, they trip, because they're just so used to the environment where they're around. So it's a hard navigator.
That familiarity is a massive thing. As we mentioned earlier on in the show, guys, just, you know, elderly people, from what we've learned, just don't like change. They don't take to it very well. Then you've got, you know, the obvious, the retirement villages. I've got an auntie who I absolutely adore her. About 10 years ago, she moved into a retirement village, and she is literally one of the most sprightly people I know. And she moved into this retirement style apartment, and she loves it. She's got food there if she wants the meals downstairs. She's the youngest there. She's only in her mid-70s. But she loves all the old people that live there, and she's got the help when she needs it as she gets older. She lives on her own. So, you know, that's a nice option as well. But her strata is through the roof for this 1-bedroom apartment. She pays like $6,500 in strata, a quarter. It's out of control.
But this full care can be thousands and thousands and thousands a week, like $3-4 grand. So it can be expensive. Good family friend of mine, grew up with them, you know, 40 years I've known them, loaded the whole time, no money anymore, because literally 10 years of care just soaked every single thing out of them. So it's hard. Yeah, you got to be careful.
And then you've got the nursing homes, you know, and some of them can be so expensive. I've got a beautiful client of mine who's in one of the nicest nursing homes I've actually ever seen. I go out and visit her every few months.
Premium.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, it literally looks like, you know, it's a Hampton-style home. Yeah, it's incredible. Everyone's got their own private rooms, but that kind of care can be extremely expensive. I know nursing homes vary depending on, you know, what they're getting and where the nursing homes are, but I know that they're all extremely expensive and also very, very hard to get into. Again, you'd really need to be planning for that. And then the other style of accommodation that we see for the elderly is the multi-generational living. The good old granny flat is called granny flat for a reason, because it's where you would put your mum, dad, in-laws as they got older. So we do see a lot of that, don't we, on the northern beaches? We see a lot of dual occupancy.
I think it's cute. I like it. And you know what, there's an efficiency money-wise as well. Like if, you know, even food bills, insurance bills, you know, sharing those bills is quite efficient.
I think it's nice for the kids as well.
It's great for the kids. It's great for the grandkids. It's great for the great-great-grandkids. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I think having your mother-in-law at home can be dangerous.
You're saying mother or mother-in-law, or
both?
Either or. I think, I think it can be tricky. I really do. And look, you know, I think everyone at our age, you sort of get a bit stuck in your ways. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. That's it.
Big thing we are seeing, guys, I think the bottom line for today before we go is plan and plan and plan.
Absolutely.
And the people of influence in the elderly's life, get them to handle it and work with those people as well, because often the oldies will listen to those people.
Luke, just one question Luke was asking, you know, do we find that the older clients are stubborn? Luke, I actually find it's quite the opposite. I honestly do. My beautiful vendor that I'm dealing with at the moment, you know, fortunately for her, she is with someone that I'm looking after her, selling her property, and, you know, I'm very trustworthy, and I would never get her to do anything that didn't make her feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It scares me sometimes how much trust they actually put into someone that they don't know. And I'm always saying to my elderly clients, please go and do that with your solicitor. Please sign that contract. It scares me how vulnerable some of these elderly clients can be.
I sold a property for a client 5 years ago. They put the money in the bank and they don't know where it is.
Oh my God, I know.
$2 million. Oh, I was talking to, so that the hubby was always doing the moving and shaking with property, and he was always doing the stuff. His wife was, you know, great at home.
Goodness
and
me.
Now he's in a village, and now they've run out of money. And she knew there was another 2 million sitting there. Went to get it, gone, and he can't remember where he put it. And these guys are clever people.
Yeah.
These guys, you know, I'm talking about,
yeah.
They are clever people.
Yeah.
So I think also as kids, just make sure that you're keeping tabs. Just make sure that you're keeping
someone
tabs.
needs to know, guys.
It would be hard.
Someone in the family needs to know what is going on.
Yep.
Someone needs to know. Now, often what I find, and I know we've got to wrap up, but, you know, a lot of elderly clients, they instill all their trust into their accountant or their financial planner or their solicitor. And guess what happens to the financial planner, the accountant, or the solicitor that's been with them their whole life? They get old too.
Or they go.
Or they leave.
They leave us.
Yeah. But they get old as well. I mean, we have some phenomenal people around us in our family, solicitors, accountants, financial planners. Absolutely love them like they're our family, but they get old as well.
Well, generally the confidants are older. So they're going to go before you, so you better make sure that. And they've always been doing the planning in for your life, but they're gone and
Planning. That's it. See you guys.
Love you.
Take
See
care.
ya. Bye.